Have you ever met someone who just doesn't seem to play by the usual rules? Someone who doesn't buy into the societal norms and instead carves their own path? For Sigma females, it's not just about choosing their own way. It's about rejecting the things that most people accept without question. Their dislikes and pet peeves run deep, and they aren't afraid to stand their ground when something doesn't align with their values. Sigma females are the quiet rebels, the ones who don't need to speak loudly to be heard. They live by their own standards, never swayed by the crowd. These women are introspective, fiercely independent, and always looking for authenticity. And when something doesn't feel right, they won't hold back from calling it out. So let's dive into the 6 things that absolutely drive them crazy. Number 1, mindless conformity. One of the biggest turnoffs for Sigma females is mindless conformity. The idea of simply going along with something just because everyone else is doing it is completely alien to them. For them, questions like why and what's the purpose are essential to understanding the world around them. Picture a scenario. You're sitting in a meeting at work, and everyone is nodding along with a new policy or strategy, just agreeing for the sake of it. But then, there's that one Sigma female in the room, calmly raising her hand and asking, "Why are we doing this? What's the reason behind this decision?" While others might feel uncomfortable or even irritated by her questioning, she's not trying to stir trouble. She simply needs to know the logic and purpose before she can get on board. Sigma females have a natural skepticism that drives them to seek meaning in everything they do. Whether it's a decision at work, a social trend, or an everyday tradition, they'll always dig deeper to understand the why before accepting anything. It's not about rebelling for the sake of it. It's about valuing authenticity and ensuring that their actions align with their beliefs. For them, following blindly feels like walking through life on autopilot. They need purpose and reason in everything, or they're simply not interested. Whether it's a trend on social media or a societal norm, they'll question it, because if something doesn't resonate with them, it's not worth following. Number 2, superficial thinking. Sigma females are wired to think critically, so when they encounter superficial thinking, it feels like a slap in the face. They crave depth in their conversations, and they're not interested in shallow opinions or assumptions. Imagine a group of people chatting casually, and someone mentions a stereotype or an unfounded assumption. The room falls silent for a moment, but Sigma females can't help but ask, "Where's the evidence for that? Why are we accepting this as truth?" While others may laugh or move on, Sigma females can't stand the idea of settling for something without verifying its accuracy. They hate misinformation and misunderstandings, whether it's in the form of a rumor, a popular myth, or a stereotype. For Sigma females, everything must be backed by evidence and facts. They live for critical thinking and challenging the status quo. And if they're in a group where facts don't matter, where people accept things without thinking them through, it's suffocating to them. They won't settle for simple answers. They want to dig deeper, find the truth, and ensure that they're not contributing to the spread of misinformation. To Sigma females, settling for surface-level thinking is a missed opportunity. They understand the value of questioning everything, because it's the only way to truly understand the world. Number 3, empty relationships. For Sigma females, relationships are about substance, not quantity. They don't care for the fake smiles and empty gestures that so many people pass off as friendship. They'd rather have one real, deep connection than 100 shallow acquaintances. Think about how often we're surrounded by people who call themselves your friends, but when things get tough, they disappear. It's these kinds of friendships that Sigma females can't stand. They've seen how social media has turned friendships into transactions, people collecting followers and likes without any real substance behind their actions. It's all about appearances, not genuine connection. Sigma females value authenticity in their relationships, and they know that true friends are the ones who are there for you when things are rough, not just when it's convenient. They've learned to tell the difference between people who are genuinely interested in them and those who are just along for the ride. Shallow friendships? They're not interested. They want relationships based on trust, mutual respect, and real emotional connection. For Sigma females, a strong friendship doesn't revolve around who can gain the most from each other. It's about real conversations, shared experiences, and unwavering support. Number 4, being misunderstood. One of the most frustrating things for Sigma females is when they're misjudged. They're often seen as distant or detached, simply because they value their solitude. But solitude doesn't mean loneliness. It means they're recharging, reflecting, and doing the work they need to maintain their independence. Imagine being at a family gathering and having someone comment, "You're always alone. Why don't you hang out with us more?" Sigma females can't help but feel frustrated. If only people understood, being alone doesn't make them antisocial. It makes them whole. They're content with their own company, using the time to reflect, recharge, and process the world around them. And it's not just solitude that they get criticized for. Sigma females often find themselves judged for making unconventional choices, whether it's their career path, lifestyle, or even their thoughts on relationships. The criticism comes from people who don't take the time to understand them. But that doesn't stop them from living their truth. They know that they don't have to fit into anyone else's idea of normal. What Sigma females really hate is being put into a box, being misunderstood based on someone else's limited view of what's acceptable. They value their individuality, and when others try to judge them without knowing the full story, it feels like an attack on their personal freedom. They're not here to live by other people's rules, and they don't need to explain themselves to anyone. Number 5, close-mindedness. Sigma females are growth-driven. They seek knowledge, wisdom, and new perspectives. So, when they encounter someone who's unwilling to consider new ideas or challenge old assumptions, it feels like hitting a brick wall. Imagine being in a conversation where someone refuses to hear you out, no matter how much evidence you provide. Sigma females find this frustrating because they know that growth comes from embracing new ideas, even if they challenge your current beliefs. For them, narrow-mindedness isn't just frustrating, it's a barrier to progress. In a world full of echo chambers, Sigma females can't stand the lack of open-mindedness. They know that we can only grow by being open to change, exploring new viewpoints, and allowing ourselves to be wrong. But when people shut themselves off from new ideas, it's like they've put a limit on their own potential. And that's something Sigma females simply can't understand. To Sigma females, close-mindedness is a roadblock to everything they value. They believe that the world becomes richer and more complex when we're willing to question, explore, and think differently. Number 6, half-hearted efforts. Commitment and consistency are two of the most important values for Sigma females. Whether it's a goal, a relationship, or a personal project, they believe in putting in the effort and seeing things through. So when they encounter someone who doesn't follow through or is constantly flaky, it's a huge turnoff. Imagine making plans with someone, only for them to cancel at the last minute. Or worse, not show up at all. For Sigma females, time is precious. And when someone doesn't respect that by not committing to their plans or promises, it feels like a betrayal. What really bothers them about flakiness is that it shows a lack of dedication. Sigma females don't just talk about their goals, they take action. They understand that success doesn't come from jumping from one project to the next. It comes from sticking with something, even when the going gets tough. They can't understand why anyone would start something and then abandon it halfway through. Flakiness feels like a wasted opportunity, both for the person who is being unreliable and for everyone involved. Sigma females know that if you're truly committed to something, you see it through, no matter how challenging or inconvenient it might be. To wrap it up, Sigma females are driven by a deep sense of authenticity and individuality. They can't stand mindless conformity, shallow thinking, and shallow relationships. They despise being misunderstood, and they can't tolerate close-mindedness or half-hearted efforts. These are not just pet peeves, they're values that define who they are. If you identify with any of these traits, you're not alone. Sigma females don't follow the crowd. They create their own path, and that's exactly what makes them so powerful. If you've got your own set of things that drive you crazy, drop them in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Sigma females, keep being true to yourself. Your authenticity and strength are what make you stand out in a world that often values the opposite. So stay strong, stay independent, and keep challenging the norms. It's your path, and you're meant to walk it fearlessly.